So the next speaker is Sarah Hejazi, who is a PhD student at University of Central Florida, who is kind of relevant, of course, to the question we had just before, also with driving. Here there's a question about the study of auditory-vocal load on driver's performance. So Sarah, please go ahead.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to talk about my previous work on study of the auditory vocal load on driver's performance. I did this experiment under the supervision of Dr. Orami and Dr. Qasemi, and I did it in my country, Iran. So I'm going to start with a brief story with importance of driving studies. Nowadays we face pandemic, and unfortunately more than 200,000 people died in the United States because of the COVID-19. And when I compare this rate to the rate of the mortality in the road of the US, for example, 2016, it's more than 30,000 people died in a year. And over a year, in all over the world, more than 1 million people died during car crashes, and lots of numerous million people injured in car crashes. So we can compare car crashes with death people in war, in a pandemic like COVID-19. So I want to focus on importance of driving studies, and I want to say that every day, every year, we have invisible disease in our roads that we cannot see it, but is still present. And I want to go ahead and talk about some impairments while driving. I want to categorize driving studies into three categories. One of them, as Asal mentioned, is sleepiness and fatigue, and distraction, the one that I want to focus on it, and drug driver, the one as Asal mentioned previously. So I want to focus on distraction, and I want to divide this category into four distraction factors. One of them is cognitive factors, cognitive distractions. Another one is like manual thing, when drivers eat something or drink something while driving, and the visual, when drivers have something on their side and they cannot see properly. And another one is auditory cognitive distraction while people listen or talk to someone. And I'm going to go to my next slide and talk about my experiments. I did my experiment in a simulated driving area with 20 people, 10 female and 10 male, and 10 men, and all of them have normal vision and normal brain functioning, and all the things should be normal, and all of them should be fluent in English. I will say the reason of this criteria in a minute. And eligible participants should report a clean driving history. And all participants need to speak in two languages. First language, our native one, is Farsi or Persian, and the second language should be English. And all participant age were between 23 and 50. And the reason of this classification and this limitation of the age is that we didn't want to put our participant into different categories of experience, so we limited into experienced driver. And I'm going to explain the methodology of my experiments. As I mentioned, it was done in a simulated area, and there is one preparation and baseline driving for 5 minutes, and after that talking to passenger in general topics during the experiments. there was one person as a passenger. So the questions and all conditions were the same for all participants. And after that 5 minutes driving and talking in general topics like career, education, is very general topics that has a low cognitive load for them. And after that, it's 2 minutes rest and conducting DALI test. I'm going to explain DALI test in a minute. It's a subjective test for our experiment. And after that, we went to next step, talking to passenger in emotional topics. They were asked about their childhood memory, their experiences, about their victories or their failures. And after that, again, we have conducting DALI test, subjective test. And then we talked to driver in a second language on general topic. And after that, again, we have DALI test that it regards with the last task. That was second language. And the last task was talking to passenger in problem solving. And it's like they were asked about calculating bank interest. For example, we asked us about if we put $1,000 in a bank with 4% interest, after a year, what is the total amount of money? So the question in this part is like that, and the question for all participants were the same. And during the study, we have some kind of an issue for all driving studies. It's like simulator sickness. All the people who suffered from headache or all the things like that were excluded from the study. And actually, I should mention that the study has code of ethics under Iran University of Medical Sciences. So we collected 3 types of data. One of them is data of driving simulator, which was reaction time and speed. And another one is, as I mentioned, DALI test. It's a subjective test. If you happen to see NASA TLX, it's a modified version of NASA TLX for driving studies, which includes 6 dimensions, such as temporal demand, stress, timing, and auditory and visual demands. And another data is EEG recording, which nowadays I'm working on that result. But in this presentation, I'm going to focus more on reaction time. And as you can see, the effect of the reaction, the effect of secondary task on driving and reaction time can be seen in this figure. If you can see that there's some baseline, there's a baseline and general, emotional, second language, and problem solving. I didn't bring that slide into here because of the limitation of time, but for all the results, we have significant increase in reaction time when compared to baseline during the secondary task. But if we wanna go 2 by 2 to task, you can see that when we have general conversation, it's like an increased reaction time that we can see when compared to problem solving. So I'm going to explain it in discussion, but you can see in second language and to problem solving, it's still there is a significant increase during the reaction time. And I'm going to explain the discussion. So as we can see during the results, there is the minimum of the result of the reaction time happened during the general task, and the maximum of them among all the session and among all the participants happen in problem solving. So it seems that when cognitive tasks become more difficult for a person, they have badly done in driving performance, and they have the increase in reaction time. And the DALI test, the subjective test, confirmed this idea. And previous studies, as we can see, Dr. Stryer at Utah University done it on dialogue, and as a result of his study revealed that it's kind of medium cognitive load for conversation. The novelty of this study is that to focus on the content of the conversation, and it seems that the content of the conversation can result in a different influence on driving performance. And previous studies suggested that when we talk about emotional dialogue, it should be something happen in reaction time, but as we can see, it's not about emotional dialogue, it's about complex dialogue. If we have complex dialogue like problem solving, we can see that there's an increase in reaction time. And to justify my result, I want to go back to attentional capacity theory. And thank you. And I want to go back to attentional capacity theory. And I said that attention is like a pool. You can see in the picture. And if we should mention that driving performance is our primary task, but it's like a channel to a water, to a limited water that is attention. So if we take more water from problem solving, there is little water for driving performance. So if we are talking in second language, we need more water in this channel, so we have less water in driving performance. So inattention happens when we have difficult or complex tasks. And as a conclusion, I can say that the auditory-vocal load as cognitive load has impact on driving performance, although the conversation content may have influence impact on the result. So as a cognitive load increase, there is a rise in reaction time. And that is to say that cognitive load stems from complex conversation rather than emotional one, as our result reveals. And thank you. I think it's time for me. And thank you.
Thank you very much. Very interesting stuff. Let me maybe start off with a couple of questions. Could you go back to the slide with the results that you had on reaction time?
Yeah, sure. This one?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you clearly show that the problem solving seemed to have the largest effect there. Whereas emotional, there is an effect, if I'm reading this correctly, compared to the kind of general discussion, but it's a much smaller effect, right?
Yep, that's correct.
Right.
I want to clarify this one, that all of the tasks have some increase when compared to baseline. But when compare all of them 2 by 2, the level of significance is different. So if you ask about second language and problem solving, yeah, it's by contrast, our expectation, there is significant increase when compare these two together. It seems that as the result shows that in second language, people try to drive slowly, with slipping down, but they didn't increase in reaction time. But in problem solving, they try to speed up as limited, but they have lots of error in reaction time.
I see. So have you done kind of, is it possible for you to separate the data out based on errors also? So error rate as well as reaction time?
Yes. Actually, one of the data that we got from a simulator is number of break-in, number of non-break-in. But because of the limitation time, I don't have enough time to bring all data here.
Sure.
Thank you for your question.
Sure. Let me just check Q&A. No. So another thing I was wondering about, so you said you have some EEG data collected too, right?
Yeah.
That's still something you're hoping to analyze?
Actually, I'm working on analyzing them right now. So maybe in next Neuromatch, I'm coming with that data, and well, hopefully I can see you there.
Yeah, so it might be interesting to look at that. I mean, especially when it comes to things like attention, right? Whether you can actually see effects of that in the EEG data as it is. So yeah, that's going to be interesting to look at there. Yeah.
Thank you.
Good. Okay, there's no questions right now in the Q&A. So maybe we'll move on from here to the next speaker. So Sarah, thank you very much. If you can unshare your screen.
Yeah, sure.